From the other side of the globe, the United States is seen as a country of great richness, vitality, and natural beauty. I'm Mike Pear, and when I came from Australia in 1974, I was surprised to learn that there are 3 million Americans totally illiterate and 30 million Americans functionally illiterate. It's good to learn that so many people are tackling this illiteracy problem, and this project on literacy instructor training is one such project. This program is the 5th and last in our series, and we'd like to offer some suggestions from experienced trainers in the area of adult reading. And to do this, we'll meet Eleanor Byrne of Literacy Volunteers Incorporated, an organization that has done so much in this area, and Peg Williams and Shirley Thomas, the co-directors of Learn, Let Every Age Read Now. These people live at Buffalo, New York, with the Niagara Falls at their back door. Peg, Shirl, what are some of the important things that you'd say to an instructor who is teaching adults to learn to read?
Mike, I think one of the most important things for a tutor to be aware of when he has a student is to know that when you have an adult student, this is different than a child. The adult comes with all kinds of experience and language, and we must be aware of that as a tutor.
The thing I'd like to emphasize is that the teacher is a teacher and not just a friend, and never a do-gooder, but a real teacher.
Dr. Annabelle Newman, the director of the Reading Practicum Center at Indiana University, and our literacy expert in this series.
The kind of empathy and warmth that an individual feels for another human being who, for one reason or another, may not have learned to read is perhaps, however, one of the most important characteristics of a good instructor.
Mr. Horace Thompson is a literacy learner and is featured in our program on the language experience approach. I asked Mr. Thompson what he felt the characteristics of a good literacy teacher are.
A good literacy teacher, I think, should be one who have a sincere interest in what they are doing. They should want to help people who are seeking the help that they realize now that they need. They should have the time to spend with the person. They should be able to make the person that they're trying to help feel wanted and have the patience that they deserve, because in the back of their mind they are somewhat angry with somebody because they don't have what they should have. They should be able to keep the person listening. Back in their mind, they feel that it's someone else's fault that they don't have the education they should have. It might be from where they were born, their location of this country. They didn't have an opportunity to go to school. Now that they have an opportunity, it's a little late, but it's better late than never. And for that reason, they need to be encouraged to come on, let's share this together.
And C.J. Haynes, a literacy learner who participated in our program on word analysis skills.
I think a good tutor is somebody who understands, that has patience and likes their work a lot, and who care about people.
And John, C.J.'s brother, who encouraged C.J. to improve his literacy skills, gives his thoughts on the characteristics of a good literacy instructor.
From what I've observed, seeing C.J. work with the tutors that he has, it's my opinion that a good tutor is one who's really patient, and they want to work with the person to help him learn, and not like the public system where they say, do this, it's so structured. I mean, they're willing to fish around, find what's good for this person, and they're really trying to help them learn. That relationship right there means much more to the person. And they want to learn. I mean, they install a little pride in himself. They encourage him when he does it right. There's none of this knock him down, because that's the worst. And a good tutor, from what I've observed, has shown him a little guidance, make him do it on his own, but at the same time make him feel as though he could do it, and he is doing it, even with a little help.
Well, in working with adults, the tutor has to be very sensitive to the student's needs, much more so than if he were teaching a child, for instance.
Well, I think to teach an adult is altogether different from teaching a child, because you have to bring an adult up on your own level to get their attention. because to teach them like you would a child, I don't think you'd ever get their attention. And until you get their attention, you're wasting your time.
And with this in mind, the tutor will necessarily be very sensitive and very, very aware that his student is neither below him nor he above the student, that it's on a lateral level, you see.
So teaching an adult to read is very different from teaching a child. Shirley Thomas stresses the need for some immediate success.
Another thing I think that's very important is that the tutor should be aware that this adult is coming in with all kinds of fears and a low self-image. He's failed, he's not had successes, otherwise he wouldn't be coming to you. Therefore, it's important for you as a tutor to provide some sort of success to happen immediately. In the first session, if possible, this is the best. Certainly, as you go along, you want those successes to increase.
I would like to say to a tutor, when a pupil first reaches the school building or wherever you might meet them, greet them as warmly as you know how, because they need to know that they are wanted, and no one likes to be where they're not wanted. So if they're warmly received, I think they'll come back again and again.
Something that a tutor ought to be well aware of is that whatever they use with a student in teaching should be able to be applied to his everyday living immediately. Let me give you an example, Mike. Supposing you're using something in the line of cooking or words that could be used in cooking. I think it's important then that the student be able to take that home immediately and apply that in her everyday living.
Sometimes we get all caught up in our jargonese and very long words, and it's not appropriate. It's important to speak in the language your student can understand. And remember that he's an adult. He has dignity. He comes with experience. He has all kinds of things he can give to you. It can be a learning experience both ways.
When we think of reading, we often think of books and sitting down and just learning how to read with specific skills. That really isn't what always takes place. What happens is this. We have a student and we have a tutor. And in order for that to really work together, we have to know each other. And the tutor has the opportunity of knowing the student on a one-to-one basis, of getting into his life and what he's like and the kinds of things he does, what he's interested in. So therefore, the tutor becomes the learner at this point. He learns from the student. And as he learns from the student, he takes these things and can plan lessons around them. So he has to learn to like that person. He has to know about him. He has to feel with him. He has to have empathy with him. This makes him sensitive to all of the things that take part in that lesson.
How important is motivation? Very important. I think it's one of the most important things in life is being able to encourage others to continue in a direction that they should be encouraged in. Regardless of what it might be, everybody needs to be encouraged.
The adult student very often will come in with a great deal of motivation. When they've made this decision to learn to read, it's a real decision, and so they come in and want to do it. However, I think the tutor must be aware that this motivation is sometimes unrealistic as far as what's going to happen within a given period of time. So it's important for the tutor to be sensitive to that and constantly encourage and create an atmosphere where the adult sees a realistic kind of goal ahead, but also has a great deal of encouragement all along the way.
Shirley and Peg have tried a variety of techniques in teaching adults to read. You might like to try some of them.
We like to use a tape recorder because this is lots of fun for the student, as well as something that he can hear and listen to his progress as he moves on.
A diary is another successful method of motivation. The student will go home and write in the diary, keeping down whatever she or he wants, and brings it back if she wants to. It's a way of getting that student to write down words and maybe some sentences and sharing it, as I said, if she wants to, with a tutor.
Another one of the things that is very, very good are all kinds of printed materials in the line of newspapers, comic books, greeting cards. From newspapers we can take just certain sections depending upon his level and where he is. Maybe we want to look at say, the weather and learn to read the weather. Maybe you want to use a TV guide or perhaps part of the radio, but things that apply to his life.
Well, you got to be able to find what they are interested in. If they are interested in, let's say, flowers or gardening, get a book with some of this information in it, or either an automobile, if you please. A lot of people are interested in learning more about the automobile. And if they can get a book on learning about what they're interested in, they're coming back again and again and again.
Tutor takes her student out for a walk, and they begin to take pictures of the scenery and pictures of one another. And then those pictures are developed, and the tutor will bring those pictures back the next week and share the pictures with her student. The student then sits down and begins to talk about the picture she's looking at, and the tutor will write down what she says, and there is our experience story. The plus part of that is that it's an immediate kind of experience. It's something shared with the student and the tutor, and it's out of the vocabulary of the tutor, of what we talked about this before. It's just another way of doing it.
For a woman, perhaps we want to use coupons that come through the mail or might even be in the newspapers. All reading can be taught from life experiences. We might want to take them on a trip, a simple trip around the block, and make a map of where you live and the streets and the names and learn these. And from this we can use phonics and teach phonics, or we can go into pattern words and teach pattern. We can go through all of the approaches using these kinds of materials. And this is what's so exciting about working with an adult on a one-to-one individualized basis.
An important literacy skill is to learn how to diagnose the level of your literacy learner.
You know, lots of times a student knows exactly where he is and the kinds of needs he has. And I think a tutor ought to understand this, that if you're going to be teaching a student, an adult, we have to look and say, what are some of the problems you see in the kind of reading that you're doing, and where can I be helpful? Now that will give a teacher a lot of clues at this point. That's one way of doing it.
I think that this is a very difficult thing to do, but it can be done by asking the prospective student to come in, maybe into the office, and let's sit down and share this book and see where we might find ourselves.
Another way would be an informal, what we call spot diagnosis. And in spot diagnosis, you'd have him read some kind of a simple paragraph, and from that, if he made some mistakes, you mentally, and I want to really emphasize that, mentally take note of these as to where his mistakes were and what they were, the kinds of things that you can now plug into immediately, perhaps for your next lesson.
It's awfully hard to measure progress on formalized reading measures when your student may be so low that he doesn't even show up on the test. So I keep lots of notes, and I try to compare actual reading by means of a tape recorder. Keep a tape from week to week, making regular additions, but be sure that you record on the tape the date that you make it so that you can keep track of where you are. Your student will soon enjoy hearing himself and will look forward to demonstrating new skills.
One of the questions a tutor might ask himself would be, what am I going to do with my student the first time I meet with him? What am I going to say? What's going to happen? And certainly most tutors, the first time or the first few times, they are nervous. You don't know what kind of person this is. You're unsure of whether you're going to be able to communicate and all those things that go into that. The student is equally as nervous. He or she doesn't know what kind of person you are, and communication you're not sure of. So it's important that the tutor comes in with some materials that will hopefully open up some sorts of communication.
I would go out of my way to make it a lot of fun for them to come to school. You can't just have it all seriousness. You've got to put a little fun in it to relax them. Whenever they can do what they need to do relaxed, and they will enjoy it. This is the way I feel about adult education.
Another part that's important is to remember that your adult student has other demands on his or her life. Therefore, when you meet together, time is important. He may have another appointment after you, he may have children at home, a job to go to, this kind of thing, so that it's important for you to plan your time wisely as a tutor and to be aware that this particular student has other things that are going on other than just being taught to read.
if you're an adult, if you're a normal man, you have a family. And you gotta work. You gotta earn your meat and bread. You gotta pay your rent. Now you have to sacrifice 2 hours or 3 hours of your rest in order to get what you know you need. And as I said a minute ago, back in your subconscious mind, you blame somebody for that. And if he doesn't get the right encouragement, he's going to fall by the wayside real fast, getting sleepy and getting discouraged by words from other people. You won't have him very long. If so, he's just a number.
Librarians can be a wonderful resource for you. Some libraries have developed sections which they reserve for material suitable for the adult new reader. If your local library doesn't have such a section, perhaps you could help develop one.